All right, and we are live coming back at you with episode 15 of our Drown Gods campaign, despite the fact that I forgot to change the title and it says 14. But we're going to ignore that, and I'm going to hopefully remember to fix that later, probably next week when I rewatch this and realize that I didn't. But let's get started like we always do. And everyone, remember to reset your hero point pools to 1. Akalupu, let's get the recap, and then we'll see who wants to give the non-Akalupu version of the recap for a hero point.
All right. All slept after finishing blowing smoke. The rabbit and the fox ask who gets the pants crown, or no one will exist in the morning. The sneaky one took the crown and all the house, and the rabbit and fox stopped being good and turned into nature. Old dance man
Wait,
with
so
tons
does that
of
mean
shrines.
that nature equals bad if they stopped being good and turned into nature?
It's a very good question for Akalupu. Akalupu doesn't think that far ahead.
True.
Old dancing man with tons of shinies for your fingers offers magic shinies for free. The sneaky one and the strong one take a ring. This allows for prestidigitation.
Love it.
Mushrooms become smaller. We find a door with only a face. The strongest hero of them all finds a doorknob to go through the door. We grow large and we must eat mushrooms to go back smaller. A door with water on the ground makes it necessary to use conch shell. We also met a toy with a missing leg. Our village with only Lokis and ended up as babies.
Nice. All right, and who wants to give the recap of what happened last time? And then as a reminder, where we left off last time was the evening in the Rabbit and Bunny's house, right before you guys went to bed. Now, this is like being in a meeting where you have to be like, well, don't everyone talk at once. You got any questions about my presentation on how we're going to save you 10%? Just crickets. All right, go ahead.
I'll get an email later.
Nope, sounds good to me.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I have to do. I have to just be like, all right, well, if anyone thinks of anything, you just hit me up. I'm online.
So not Akalupu. I'm not only going to meet with Sammy. I think PPOP was kind of crawling around being a little bit of a creepy fellow. Because he was crawling on the roof and like spying on people, right?
Well, that was a bit later. We've skipped several steps. First you guys kind of... Oh, he did, but not until later. First you guys settled in to go to sleep, and then you all had dreams.
Oh, that's right. Akalupu dreamed of his father, and he didn't say anything to him. He just watched him like a creep from the jungle.
No, he was just sitting next to his father skipping stones.
Oh, he did sit? I thought you just sat there and watched him.
No, he's not that much creep. He's just hanging, just chilling, chilling with his bro.
Just having a nice moment with his dad, who's dead now.
We found out that Loki's PPOP's father.
Well, you're also again skipping way forward, and you haven't actually necessarily found that out, though you do have strong suspicions.
That's right. It was Loki and his alleged father, both calling him.
Yeah, Loki and Elvis.
Yeah, Loki and Elvis. And Loki had something shiny on his hands. And it was like a coin, I think. And PvOP went towards Loki. And then I don't remember my dream. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot that I had a dream.
Yeah. So in PPOP's dream, yeah, like you said, both of them were there, Elvis and Loki, and both of them wanted PPOP to come to them, but Pipiopi decided to go for the shiny object that Loki was holding and went to him instead. And then after that happened, Elvis slowly faded away. And then Pipiopi bit Loki's hand and stole the shiny object.
That's right.
And then Manawanui, you actually didn't have a dream, which is probably why you don't remember it. You actually, because of being an elf, you don't sleep. You don't need as much sleep as everyone else does. So everyone else needs roughly 8 hours of sleep to get a full night's rest, while you need about half that, so like 4 hours. So you were just up, wandering around and trying to teach yourself how to read.
That's right, and that's when Sammy came and taught me how to read.
Yes.
And while that was going on, Akalupu woke up and heard the fox and not the hound, the fox and the rabbit arguing, and he went in. Did he go in there? Or did they come to him? No, they came to him. That's right. And they're like, hey, we need someone to settle dispute who wears the pants. And Akalupu was a bit... because they came to him because he had the crown. And he was a bit confused at what they meant, so he went to ask Pipiopi what he should do. Pipiopi, I think, gave him like a non-answer, if I'm being correct, if I'm remembering correct.
Pipiopi said that Akalupu should claim the crown for himself and tell the two of them to figure their own nonsense out.
That's right, and he went back to them, told them that, and they said, no, I'm sorry, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
You gotta pick one or the other. So he went and asked Manawanui. Manawanui just told him to pick one or two, and he did. And he said, alright, give it to the bunny. And as Akalupu was gonna do that, as the sun was rising, that's when Pipiopi jumped down from the ceiling and stole the crown. And everything, all the animals, the fox and the bunny turned back into normal foxes and bunnies. The house turned into just like a little hole. The book, more importantly, turned into like I forgot what the book turned into.
It was like a stack of leaves.
A stack of leaves, that's right. And the crown turned into cardboard.
And also, more importantly, Pipiopi's knife turned into a reed.
Oh, that's right, because he had snatched that good stuff.
Sadness.
You have nobody but yourself to blame for that, though. I'm just saying. Like, I actually was way more upfront than I had intended to be about the consequences of not choosing one of them.
Yeah. That was funny. I was curious. I was curious what would happen if no one was picked.
Yeah, well, you found out.
Hey, there we go. There we go. At the end of the day, we all learned something. Then we continued on our journey following Ka. We came to this place where there was this one monster that was kind of crying out from a cave. And he's like, don't come near the cave. So we said, okie dokie, see you later, friendo. Continued on our way. Ran into some weird charlatan toad.
He wasn't even a toad, he was just like an old man.
I don't know why I associate him with a toad. But
he's just an old man. He's like, I'm Bibi. Don't you want some wizard rings?
That's right. And a lot of Akalupu and Pipiopi foolishly disregarded my wise and sage advice that he was a no good, creepy old man, and not like me, by the way. Just gonna put that distinction there. And they shouldn't take his rings. But they ignored that warning, took his rings, and he disappeared in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah, and now they have magical powers.
For now, we'll see what happens. That's all I'm saying. When we all die, we know why. That's all I'm gonna say.
Says the guy who YOLO'd into a volcano.
I blame the rings. Honestly.
Yep, the draw of the rings.
Yeah, Yeah, it's totally me down there. You don't know how, what a decision down there could affect, any number of things.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just didn't feel validated by my cohorts down there, and that, like, translated to me up there. So I was like, I really have, nothing to lose, so, in some way it makes sense.
I feel like at this point you kind of deserve it, considering how many times you've tried to use your friends as, minesweepers, just being like, hey, you try that mushroom first.
To be fair, I don't remember they're my friends, so...
Yeah, you do.
Do I?
Yeah, you remember all of their faces. You know that you know them very well. You are familiar with them. You definitely remember these people and who they are.
Oh, well... somewhat feel bad now. But that's in the past. That's in the past. And then we started getting bigger and bigger. No, not yet, but we were getting bigger. Just not as quickly. We came to that door. It had a mouth, but it had no handle. And so kept bugging him until he told us where the handle was. And he said he didn't really remember. So we found the handle.
Well, he was just too lazy and sleepy to bother telling you, until you pointed out that you weren't going to leave him alone until he told you.
Yeah. Couldn't go back to sleep. We put the handle in, went through the door, and then there was a hatch, but we're way too big to fit.
Yeah, after a while, because you walked for some time, and that's when you started, feeling like everything around you was getting smaller. But then by the time you got to the end of the road, either everything around you did get smaller, or you guys got bigger. One or the other. That's
right. And everybody ate a mushroom to go smaller. Only Akalupu for Akalupu and Sammy did it work. I think PPOP and Manawanui are slightly shorter.
Well, PPOP is somewhat shorter. No. PPOP is somewhat shorter, and then Manawanui is significantly shorter. You're about 3 feet tall right now.
Oh, okay. So I'm like a little dwarf.
Yeah, you're like a hobbit at this point, like an old hobbit man.
Right on. And then we came and we heard bells.
Well, that was after you swam.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tried to swim at first, but then I realized it was like 15 minutes and I had little old man lungs, so I wouldn't be able to make it. Yeah. So I swam back, and we went with Ka, and we just held on to Ka for dear life.
Yeah, and that was after the comment that made you think that Logi might actually be his dad, because Ka said something about using PPOP using his father's gift. But when someone called that out and said, nah, that, his father didn't give it to him, that was Loki, Ka said, oh, must have been a slip of the tongue.
That's right. And that's when it all started to dawn on us. Or at least on some of us. Akalupu.
No, Akalupu is the one who called it out.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, PPOP just glossed over it. Because he's got daddy issues.
Yeah. And to be fair, PPOP, his player kind of forgot who gave the conch shell in the first place, so.
Then we had some adventures on the way. One of which was we were stuck in our village, but everybody was Loki.
Yep.
Another one was that we were stuck in our village again, but I think we were all babies.
Not in the village. You were stuck in a cave, and you were babies. And
right.
You had to relearn. You had to relearn how to crawl to get out of the cave, and then once you got out of the cave, you weren't babies anymore.
That's right. And then at the we ran into a small wooden man who was missing a leg, and then who also got dragged away by trees again.
Yeah, and those all happened at some point during the adventure, but before you actually swam through that cave.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we heard the bells. And there was a dramatic end to the session. if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that catches us up as you hear the peals of bells off in the near distance, just bong, 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 and Manawanui pointing and going, "The bells!" Alrighty, yeah, so that catches us up. So, Ka'a looks at Manawanui's, whose outstretched hand is still pointing at the clock tower, and says, "Well, I think this is as far as I'll be going for now. Once you're done in the tower, I'll still be here." And yeah, you see there's a path. The tower, it juts out very unnaturally from the landscape around it, while the landscape is made of this dark clay material with all these different mushrooms and weird undergrowth around. The tower itself is made out of bright white marble that seems to gleam with an internal light, and it stretches up into the distance for quite some ways, like a finger jutting out of the ground. You can see that the top of the tower is broken, and part of it has crashed down and tumbled to the ground below, but somehow there are bells still up high in the tower that you can hear pealing out for a total of 6 times before they go silent once again. And leading up to the tower is a path, much like the one that you've been on up till now, but after a certain ways, it also turns into these white marble steps, cut very evenly and angularly.
I don't know. We're just gonna like start going for the tower.
Are there any like loose parts of the marble, like parts have like chipped off or anything like that?
Yeah, you can find. There is the top that fell, yes. So once you reach the tower, definitely. As you're walking along the stairs, once you reach those, I'm sure you can find some little pebbles and chunks here and there.
Okay, because Akalupu wants to grab a few of the pebbles because they're shiny and white.
All right, make sure you write that down. All right, so is the group just headed toward the tower then?
What did you say?
Is the group just headed toward the tower? Here. All right. So you guys begin approaching the tower. You walk for a few minutes, eventually reaching the stairs. And after about what's probably 10, 20 minutes, the bells peal out again. This time 7 times before once again becoming silent. As you're approaching closer to the tower, the sound is becoming significantly louder, to the point where Sammy is covering her ears when they chime out. As you continue further and approach even closer to the tower, again another 10-20 minutes, they peel out again, this time 8 times. And you're now close to the tower, about halfway up the stairs, and the sound is so loud that you can feel the vibrations in your chest. So, continuing on, at this point, most of you are probably covering your ears when the bells go off. You reach the entrance of the tower, and you hear the chimes beginning to go off once again. And you are now standing in front of the tower. The door there are at large. They're kind of like gold filigree on the outside, very fancy looking. And just giant double doors. You can see 2 rings set into each one, presumably for pulling the doors open. And the chimes are now deafeningly loud, almost shaking the ground enough to cause you to fall down.
Are they ringing like as we approach the doors or no?
They just started ringing as you approach the doors.
So I'm gonna, Mono Inui's gonna kind of like, it's gonna brace himself against the side of the building while the bells are ringing.
All right.
Kind of wait for them to be over before trying the door.
Sammy loses her footing, and unless someone catches her, is going to fall to her knees.
I'll try and catch her.
You're leaned against the wall, so you can't.
Oh, well, there we go.
Akalupu is going to try to catch her.
All right, let's do a reflex save.
Small. Yes, okay. Reflex save. 14.
What was that?
A 14?
Okay, cool. Couldn't tell between 14 and 15. Yeah, you also were unstabilized by the ground shaking, and while you don't fall, you don't quite manage to catch Sammy. All right, so the bells chime. The bells peal out. In this case, 9 times before falling blessedly silent. And let's get a fortitude save from everyone.
Akalupu rolled an 18. Character.
Alright, Sammy got a 21.
Oh, dang.
We rolled a 15.
One of them, we rolled a 10. I'm gonna use my hero points to re-roll that. I'm gonna use a hero point to re-roll that, okay?
Okay, go for it. You got
Son
2.
of a gun. Can I go with the first one, or no?
No, you have to take your second.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a third time. I'm gonna go for a third time.
No, you cannot use a more than one hero point on the same action.
Dang it. Okay, I got a 7.
Alright. And what was the result on the die?
A 7?
No, on the die. So you've got a +4, so that would have been a 3. Okay.
Yeah. Not a 1.
Yep, that's what I was wondering. Alright. Mono Inui, you take 3 points of sonic damage to your old man bones.
If I'd gotten a 10, would that have been different?
No, 10 still wouldn't have been enough.
Okay.
PPOP just barely squeaked in with his 15.
Strong.
Exactly. All right, Mono Inui, your old man bones. It's like when you could feel the weather changing, but worse. Okay. So the bells finally grow blessedly silent. Your ears are still ringing from the effects, and your hearing is slowly returning to you. As you can, the first thing that you hear is Sammy's kind of low sobs. She seems to be crying at this point as she's on the ground. But the ringing in your ears finally subsides.
Mono Inui is gonna kind of like shamble over there and try and help her up.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
You're now
Inwards.
You're now looking at these massive doors, easily 3 times as tall as Akalupu. The rings attached to them are almost the size of like Sammy. They're probably about 3 foot in diameter. Made of a gleaming golden material.
Look at the size of them. Knocking. Mono Inui's gonna try and shamble over there and see if he can't do something to open the door.
All right, you have successfully shambled over.
Already. It's gonna grab one of the big knockers and try and pull it back.
All right, let's get a strength check, and you're gonna do a with a disadvantage, so the worst of 2 because of your old man bones.
Oh dear.
This is one of those actions where you have to roll with disadvantage because you're old.
I have a +0 strength.
Akalupu's gonna try to help.
First, I want to see what happens to Manawanui trying to do it on his own, like he just did.
Manawanui rolled a 9 and an 8, so an 8, I suppose.
All right. Yeah, you futilely pull against it, groaning and whimpering.
All
right. Akalupu. The jolly not-so-green giant. You gonna help now?
Dear.
Yes.
Akalupu rolled a 6.
After sitting back and watching and laughing. He was still too busy laughing.
Yeah, Akalupu is still just like laughing his buns off. His meats that he's been hiding in his butt flap finally fall loose.
Step aside, weaklings. Let PPOP show you how it's done. I rolled an 8.
Alright. PPOP gallantly walks up, spits on both hands, grabs a hold, braces one foot against the wall, and begins pulling with all his might, and the only effect is the creaking in his spine.
Crazy.
Perhaps we should all pull together.
That's a good idea.
Alright, so for a group action, you have to select someone who is the primary actor. Everyone else is going to roll against a DC, in this case 15, and if you succeed, you're going to add 2 to the success of the primary actor. So, who is the main puller?
What's PPOP's plus strength?
Less than Akalupu's. I'll just tell you that.
Okay, so Akalupu will be does Akalupu want to be the primary puller?
Yes.
Yes, Akalupu wants to be the primary puller. Alright. I feel like I shouldn't roll this, because every roll I've been doing kind of sucks. But we'll see. Oh! 21!
Alright. So Akalupu's got 21.
PPOP crit failed.
Okay. PPOP trips Akalupu.
Oh my goodness.
PPOP's feet slip as he's pulling against Akalupu's shoulders, and PPOP's feet go right under Akalupu and knock him off his feet.
Does it matter if one of them only got a 15?
Nope, because the main actor failed. You want to try again?
No.
I shouldn't have spit on my hands. It made it real slippery. I dried my hands off. Let's do this again.
No. Akalupu, are you game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, I crit failed again.
And the same thing happens. PPOP, this time, you dried off your hands, but you decided to spit on your feet for some reason, because you thought it would help.
You know what? I'll just stay out of the way. You guys do this without me.
Akalupu, do you want to try a third time? Gosh, target, you got a 5.
Akalupu slips on PPOP's spit that's now on the ground.
I don't know if anyone has explosives.
Anna, you're muted. I don't know what you said. I could only hear you a little bit through.
Akalupu wants to know if anyone has explosives.
No. I mean, Manawanui has spells that are kind of explosive.
Manawanui is going to say step aside as he summons all the strength he has in him to cast. Let's see, what is this? Would Kadush Flame? So I don't have a fireball. Like a fireball would help. Yeah, we're gonna do like I don't know. What if
I feel like if you do produce flame, it's not gonna work, and we're just gonna end up burning our hands on the doorknobs.
Yeah, produce flame is also a cantrip. It pretty much all you can do is like light a candle or maybe light someone's clothes on fire.
can I charm the door into opening?
You can try.
Akalupu's gonna try one more time.
Can I do an element? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Akalupu, for the win. Got a 10.
All right. Does anyone want to help?
Mono Inui will help with his feeble old man bones. I got 15!
Nice.
You said the DC was 15, correct?
Yep, so that gives Akalupu a +2 to make it 12.
That doesn't help us. Dang it.
Alright, we'll skip a ways forward. You guys keep trying to pull. Eventually, Akalupu rolls a nat 20. Pipiopi and Manawanui succeed, bringing it to whatever. What's your strength? +2. So that would be like a 26, and the doors don't budge.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, let's go look
Mono
around
Inui
and
is going
see
to
if there's
try
a
and
At this
Hold
point,
on.
though, it's been another 10 minutes. The bells begin to chime. Everyone give me a fort save.
Gosh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. You're on these steps.
20.
Noise.
Gosh, dang it! I got a nat 1.
Akalupu.
Sammy just got
Manawanui
23.
literally dies.
Manawanui reverberates and separates into a million pieces.
Have you seen those cartoons where, like, like the character will get hit and go doing?
Yes.
That's what I'm picturing happening to Mono Inui.
That's exactly what happens. What did Akalupu get?
Oh, I didn't check. I was too busy.
Right, and PPOP, you got over 15. You got over 15, right?
Correct, I got a 20.
Nice.
Akalupu got a 15.
All right, so just Mono Inui again, but on a crit fail. Oh, you lucked out. You take 1 point of sonic damage to your
Nice.
old bones.
Nice. Mono Inui's surprisingly
Not dead.
not dead. Alright, can I try and melt the door?
You can try.
I'm gonna put my hands on the door and cast.
While he's doing that, Akalupu is going to be looking around for any broken walls or windows or other ways to get in this building.
All right, let's get a perception check from Akalupu. Mono Inui, you managed to burn yourself because you really shouldn't touch a stone, light it on fire to heat it up, and then continue touching it.
I didn't say it was gold.
Well, no, it's
gold.
no, it's stone with gold filigree.
Well,
Were you melting just like one of the knockers?
I was trying to melt one of the knockers.
Oh, well, you get liquid gold splattered on your hands, which is even worse, and now you actually will take damage.
Dang. Akalupu got a 10 on
You
percent.
end up getting your hands coated in molten gold, taking 6 points of damage.
Good gravy.
I don't think you have hands anymore, old man. Like, it's just bones sticking out of the ends of your arms.
No one asked you, Akalupu.
All
This is how you got it down.
Akalupu, you got what was your
got a
perception
10.
check? A 10?
Yeah.
All right, Akalupu, you're not having much luck. Would anyone else like to roll perception? Like a rogue who's really good at it, maybe?
Yeah, let's try it. 27.
Dang. Like, that was a 19 on the die. All right, so Akalupu and Pipiopi begin looking around. Akalupu immediately gets distracted by shiny white rocks and picks up several more. Pipiopi, though, you start, after you finish laughing your buns off at Mono Inui's lighting his hands on fire, you begin looking around the door more, kind of running your hand along the edges, and you find a tiny, almost imperceptible crack in one area. As you trace along the edge, it seems to make a rectangle, like a vertical rectangle.
Guys, maybe we could crack this guy open. Or maybe there's a secret lever somewhere.
Akalupu will push on it.
I am done attacking this building.
All right,
We're only
Akalupu.
here because of you, old man. We're only here because of you, old man. You can't give up yet.
Actually, would like me to grab my other hand. Oh.
All right, so Akalupu. Akalupu, and in this case, so the gold, unlike it, like if it had been real world gold, where it would just like encase and turn solid as it dried, it actually seems to have seeped into your hands, and you now have golden hands, but they're still tactile. Like you can still move them and feel, but your hands are completely like shiny gold colored. No, Manawanui, sorry.
That sounds like it's worth 6 points of damage.
Right, that's not bad. Akalupu, you lean into the door. I'm assuming you expect like a significant amount of resistance, and you're putting your shoulder into it.
Oh yeah, especially after the other door.
Yeah, but then as soon as you lean against it, without even like a remote, barely any resistance at all, it slides back and over. You could have easily done it with your pinky finger, even. And you almost trip, but manage to catch yourself as you enter inside of the tower.
Bum, bum.
It's the classic tiny door in the big door.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right, so Akalupu is in the tower.
Manawanui's gonna join him.
All right, so you all head inside the tower.
At his glowing. Are they glowing?
No, your hands are not glowing. They're just shiny.
Okay.
They're reflective, metallic.
Hmm.
So you guys all head inside the tower, and you look around, and you can see a huge spiral staircase leading upward that seems to make stops at floors regularly. Though these are not like a standard, 8-foot story. These go up, 20, 30 feet or so each floor. And the interior is lit somewhat dimly. Once you are inside, you can see that the white stone is in fact glowing, luminescing slightly. And it's giving off a soft light across everything. And the air here, there are no windows. The air is perfectly still except for this slight bit of breeze coming through the door behind you. And there's a dry, just old smell about everything.
Manawanui's gonna start looking for. Actually, he's just gonna look around, see if there's anything interesting.
You see exactly what I just described.
Are there any stairs?
Yes, I said there was
He
a
just
spiral
described
staircase.
That was like the main point of the room.
Was he's old. Okay, his mind wanders. He's going to walk in. He's gonna walk towards the stairs.
All right, you are now closer to the stairs.
Going to get on the stairs.
You are
I'm
standing
Should
on
we
those
have, like,
stairs.
I don't know, maybe the rogue that has like passive trap finding ability go first.
Smart.
Yeah. Let's do some
I'll race you
marching
to the top.
orders. So what? Manawanui in front, or PPOP, sorry.
PPOP in front. Let's find those traps.
Manawanui's gonna follow behind
Okay.
because he's very eager,
Move your
despite
token.
experience.
Akalupu will take up the rear.
And Chi-Chi will walk next to Manawanui.
It's kind of sketch, man.
All right, so you guys head up the stairs, and it is a rather arduous thing, especially for Old Man Manawanui. Everyone else is just tiring. Old Man Manawanui, let's get another fortitude save for your old man leg bones.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it, yo. If you find me before I don't make it. Oh, I got a 20. Hey, look at that. Nothing. Not a nat 20, but, you know, a cumulative 20.
Yeah, so you make it up. You notice as you're climbing the stairs that by now the next set of bells should have started, but while you hear a light chiming, much higher pitch than what you were hearing from outside, you do not feel that same overwhelming chime. So no fortitude save from that, luckily. And you continue along. Finally, after, and I think I said it was like 20, 30 feet. This is way more. This is like...
Get your faggots out of your throat.
This is like
Sorry.
a couple hundred stairs to the first level, so it's some time
good grief.
huffing and puffing. Like I said, the tower is very tall. And eventually you manage to drag yourselves up to the first floor. And you hear the bells chiming once again, though again diminished in loudness. And you see Manawanui react physically, though, to the chime of the bells, doubling over and groaning. And Manawanui, you feel memories coming back to you. These fuzzy, hazy memories that have been eluding you thus far. And you remember now, having been spit out onto Papaya Island, you remember the ghosts there trying to tempt you with food, and you very nearly ate some until you overheard two of them who didn't realize you were there talking about these dogs on the island. And you were able to gather that these were in fact at one point humans, old adventurers who had also come to the island, and by eating the fruits they had turned into these dogs that were being held. And so as you were just about to bite into the fruit, you drop it on the ground and stop yourself just in time, and realizing that you needed to escape, and also that the all of these different dogs means that there were adventurers who have come to this island. You begin scouring the beach, and you manage to find an old ship in reasonable repair, and you do a few minor fixes and are able to get it seaworthy once again. Luckily for you, it was also already full of supplies, and you set off onto the ocean for some time, and you slowly travel under the speed of the sails back to Outset Isle. You remember that there is some great danger around Outset Isle that you were able to bypass, though you don't remember at this point why or how. And then you were caught in a storm, and you were thrown about by it for many days. You ran out of water. You ended up having to drink seawater, and started to develop sea madness. And then washed ashore finally by the luck of chance, and were rescued. So you've been able to piece together events from that point forward with now perfect clarity. And let's get the first of our little mini events. Tell us something that Manawanui remembers about his adventures while still in the spirit world trying to escape. Would anyone like to go first?
I'll go first.
Alrighty.
So this is down in the spirit world.
Yes.
Um,
At some like indeterminate point. We don't have to worry about the actual like timeline.
Cool. So, he's wandering along, and suddenly he sees this little furry frog. Yes, it's a furry frog. who's hopping along at a very fast rate.
The frog
down.
is just in his persona.
Yes, he is. Like, this is my persona. Thank you very much.
I would like it if you would call me Starfire.
Yeah, so he's like hopping along and he keeps looking down at his magic rock, and he keeps mumbling something, and as he gets closer and closer and closer, he starts hearing him. Then he's going, I'm going to be late. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. It's like my first time and I'm going to be late. It's going to be like the worst thing ever. They're going to start without me. And so Manawanui stops him and is like, what are you going to be late for? He's like, I'm going to be late for like the most important date of my life. Are you kidding? And so Manawanui ends up following the furry frog for some reason, and they go through and they end up coming up to this cliff wall, and they go behind these vines, and he sees a couple of doors, and they push through the doors, and suddenly he realizes that he's in like a giant furry convention,
but it's all animals dressed as other animals.
Exactly. And he's like looking around and he feels very out of place, you know, only because he's not wearing his own fursuit. And so he ends up almost getting stuck there because they're all just so surprised to see somebody whose fur is actually like real fur, you know, because he's got a fuzzy beard and stuff. But he ends up getting back out the doors after sneaking out and saying that he's going to go get some Starbucks. And he gets out and runs away. The end.
Love it. All right. So Manawanui, you finally, after these memories return to you, you feel just like icy pain in your skull, in your very brain. But you eventually it fades and you're able to uncurl from the fetal position.
And to be clear, I only remember what happened after I got out of the spirit world.
You now have perfect clarity on the two memories that we just discussed. Everything from after you left the spirit world to now, and then also your memory of the furry convention.
Cool. Just making sure we're clear.
Yeah.
Oh, it's strange. Remember the ocean and the water and furries. I'm gonna kind of try and like pull myself up from the ground.
Are you okay,
like,
Manawanui? Or I guess everyone's just calling you old man. Are you okay, old man?
I think so. It was we don't know what snow is, do we?
You do.
But it's never, like, no one else would know what snow is. It's never, like, snowed on our island, is what I'm asking.
Well, actually, no. I think we established that up higher on the mountain, it did occasionally snow. So, yeah, you all know what snow is.
Felt like I ate so much of the cold water. Ice. I guess I know what ice is. So much of the snow. In my brain. Oh.
Is it better now? Does it still hurt? Here. And then she lays her hands on your shoulders, and you feel a spell going out, and she's going to cast heal. More so for all the damage you've already taken. So you are going to be restored by... Where's the... So I think I remember there was like something weird. So restores 1d8 hit points. but if you spend two, like, two action, it increases by 8, so it's going to be 1d8 plus 8.
Good grief.
All right, so she's doing it as a 2-round. Dang.
Wow. Can I go like over my max health?
No. There are ways to get like over health, but not from a healing spell.
Well, there we go.
All right, so you feel much better as the soothing aura of the spell washes over you, and you can feel the pain in your hands and in your old man bones subsiding significantly.
Oh. Oh, thank you.
Of course.
I must press forward before the next set of chimes.
All right, so if there are no other arguments, yes, you guys will be heading up the next set of stairs. And before you ask, no, there's nothing interesting on this floor. Just like maybe a couple of statues. Like, there are some chairs if you guys want to sit for a
statues?
minute. All right, so you guys head up the next set of the stairs. Once again, it is arduous. Manawanui, let's get a fortitude check for those old man leg bones.
Alrighty, come on. Old man legs for the win. 22!
Nailed it.
I found out where all my strength when I was trying to open the door went.
To your legs.
Exactly. I should have tried to kick it open.
Exactly. You know, that is what Benjamin Franklin said, is that as people get older, they dry out from the top down. And so that's why, you know, if you're, banging an old lady, you just put a bag on her face and you can't even tell the difference.
Good grief.
I'm not even kidding. He didn't say it in those words, but
it was like basically what, dang. That's funny. I can see him saying that though, like from what I know about Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
All right, so you guys continue upward, and eventually you reach the next floor. Once again, as you reach the floor, the bells begin to chime out, and once again, Manawanui begins to groan and curl up on the ground. And Manawanui... more memories return to you. This time, you remember entering a labyrinth. You remember being entirely lost and confused and afraid. Strangely, you feel very much unlike yourself. It seems like you don't really understand what's going on, where you are, or what you should be doing, and you're just wandering aimlessly, completely lost. And eventually you make it to the center of the labyrinth. At this point, your memories are still somewhat hazy. It's strange that this one section is still lost, but it feels like it's somehow more deeply buried in your psyche. And but what you do remember is finding a cottage, a cozy little country cottage. And then everything kind of goes fuzzy and blank for a while until you remember leaving. At this point, you're starting to grow old. Before entering the labyrinth, you remember being a young boy. And upon your memories resuming, you feel as though you are now a young man. And then you remember wandering the labyrinth once again, very lost, but slowly growing older and older and older, until finally, by the time you exit the labyrinth, you've become an old man. And then you remember making your way from the exit of the labyrinth finally to your goal, another exit to the spirit world. At this point, you now understand your purpose, your need to return back to this tower. That purpose seems to have materialized some point in that fuzzy area after you reached the cottage. And you make your way over to a giant whale who You have great difficulty in convincing to get you out, but eventually you are able to. And you convince the whale to swallow you and spit you out his blowhole and out of the whirlpool back onto Papaya Island, now connecting that section of time. And let's get another one of those little adventures. So, who would like to give us the second one?
I'll go next.
Alrighty.
So this is shortly after the furry incident.
We'll say that this
Mono Nui.
happened. That these happened in the points where he's slowly growing older in the labyrinth. There's all kinds of weird things in the labyrinth.
Yeah, so Mono Nui flees the furry scene, and immediately comes upon a giant volcano, and he's like, "Oh shoot, one of these volcanoes again. Best not be jumping in there." And so he tries to turn and go around the volcano, but for some reason the volcano keeps moving and it just keeps being in his way, and he can't get around this volcano. And so he goes in the volcano naturally, and when faced with the decision to retreat from the volcano or jump in, he naturally jumps into the volcano. And he finds himself exactly where he started after jumping into the volcano the first time. And after going through all of the same exact adventures again, he comes upon the furry convention. He promptly flees the furry convention and comes upon another volcano. And he quickly realizes, he just has this gut feeling that the only way to escape this Groundhog Day situation is to kiss the furry frog. And so he jumps back into the volcano, goes through an entire lifetime again to reach where he is, gets to the furry convention and says, "Come here, you furry frog. Give me a big old kiss."
Oh my gosh, my Prince Charming is finally here. You're like a little old and gross, but like, I'll take it.
And as soon as he kisses that furry frog, the volcano in the distance just dissipates, and he can see that it actually was not there to begin with. It was just a mirage.
You know, like, parting is such sweet sorrow, my prince. Farewell.
Thank you for showing me the way, my furry friend.
Oh, we will definitely see each other again, hot stuff. Alrighty. So, Manawanui, these memories have returned to you. The salty taste of the frog's lips still freshly on your mind.
Oh, I remember. I remember going into a labyrinth and leaving and nothing else. all that happened. I don't need to dwell on the past too much. Let's go. Come on. Let's go, fellas. And he's going to get, kind of like pull himself off the floor a lot faster than he did last time. You know, trying to move along. You know. And he kind of shudders as he reaches the next flight of stairs.
Alright, so once again, you continue up these stairs, and let's get another fortitude check.
Alrighty. Come on, old man legs. Let's do it.
Are you going to be 3 for 3?
23. I got 19 plus 4.
Nice. Alright, 3 for 3 on the old man legs. Alright. So once again, following this same pattern, you guys go up, and eventually you are coming near to the next floor. And this time the bells start slightly before you reach the top. But Manawanui continues to try and push through as they start ringing out. And you're only a few steps from being able to see up onto that floor. And you hear the bell, bong! And Manawanui staggers but continues pushing, and you see his memories flooding back in. You suddenly have full clarity on the entire part in the cottage that was lost at one point. And you now remember that inside the cottage was the spirit of one of the villagers from your island, from Outset Island, and that he told you that there was a guardian that was set to protect Outset Isle. However, it had accidentally been given the incorrect commands, or I should say imprecise commands, and its detection of what was and wasn't an enemy just resulted in being anyone who seemed like they could be a threat and approached the island, and that this guardian would destroy anyone who tried to reach the island while still physically capable of being a threat to anyone. And that the only way to get this guardian to stand down was to use a key which Manawanui did not possess, but which he knew about. It had been gained in the cave before he had jumped into the spirit world. And that after many days of deliberation, the only plan which the two of them could come to, Manawanui and this spirit, for him to return was actually for Manawanui to curse himself to age, so that by the time he reached the outskirts of the island, he would have declined so much that the guardian would no longer see him as a threat and would allow him to pass unmolested. And so Manawanui, after many years of research, had learned this curse and placed it upon himself so that he would age quickly. And then he set off into the spirit world to adventure long enough to reach about the right age before he would then eventually leave and return back to Outset Isle so that he could find his friends and do this whole rescue thing. And so, groaning but continuing to push on, Manawanui takes another step as the bell chimes. Bong! And once again, more memories start flooding in. And still continuing backwards from the last point, you now remember your time before entering the labyrinth. And you remember being lost, confused, scared, completely unable to do anything. You seem to have lost all of your memories, all of your abilities. You remember crawling on the ground, not even remembering how to walk. You remember flapping your arms and attempting to fly and finding yourself unsuccessful. And then again, pushing on another step, and bong, another bell chime peals out, and then more memories flood in. And at this point, you remember falling, wrapped in the arms of your master. You remember eventually blacking out as you reached the entrance to the spirit world, and by the time you awoke, you were sitting inside of a cage, but your body was unfamiliar and strange to you. You eventually managed to figure out how your hands worked enough to unlatch the clasp, but you were unable to reach another cage, and so eventually you started to roll yourself out of the tower. And taking one final step as the final chime of the bell rings out loudly, reverberating through every one of you, you see at the top of the tower a huge bell, and inside the bell, two clappers, which are the little dangly bit on a bell that makes it sound when you ring it. One of which is empty, and inside the other is a crow.
Oh my goodness. I'm Kashetic. Is that right? Correct?
You mean Reginald?
Reginald? That's right. That's exactly what I meant. Um, it's Manawanui. He's in there. Who knew my bird was such a crusty old man on the inside?
And now you remember finally the full plan, and the fact that even if you talking to the spirit in the cave, even if you had rescued Manawanui, who seemingly had body swapped with Reginald, you would not have been able to return to Outset Isle. You would have been completely trapped because of the Guardian and not having the key. And so you enacted this plan to return to Outset Isle, get your friends and the key that you needed, and then return and save Manawanui. But you also know that when you rescue Manawanui, all you need to do is get him out of the cage and then touch him, and you will return back to your correct bodies. However, because of the curse that you've put upon yourself, that Reginald has put upon himself, once you return to the body of a crow, you will simply be so old you will crumble into dust, as your elven body is the only thing keeping you alive at this point.
Can I undo the curse? Do I remember any way to, like, undo the curse?
Not that you know of.
Dang. So as I remember this piece of information, I'm just gonna kind of, like, stagger to a stop next to the bell. But you said he's still in a cage, correct?
Correct. Manawanui in the crow's body is still sitting in one of the cages, which are the clappers of the bell.
And there's only one?
There are two. An empty one, and the one with Manawanui in it. And actually, I'm going to retcon. You don't touch him. You will need to climb in the empty clapper and then do a transfer spell.
Decisions. Huh?
I said, does Sammy know anything that would be helpful?
Yeah, does Sammy know anything? I guess I could ask her.
Right? I mean, just asking me isn't going to answer any questions.
So, Reginald is gonna shamble on over to Sammy. And ask, what do you know about curses?
Well, I guess curses are usually the parlance of witches. And they're similar to spell effects, except that they linger on. I don't really know that much, though.
Do you know how to undo a curse?
Well, it's usually possible to remove a curse, though you need to know exactly what the curse is and what the reversal spell would be.
Is that something that I know?
Yeah, well, you know the curse now. And so with some effort you would be able to potentially concoct a negation spell. However, well, I guess Sammy will say this, but you wouldn't remove the effects of the curse. It would just stop it from acting any further. AKA, you'd still be old AF.
Well, I think I may have an idea.
Does it involve jumping into a volcano?
Always.
Is there anything else in the tower that could be useful, or is it just...
Nope,
Just
this is
no.
similar. Just a huge bell at the top of the tower. It's held up on enormous stone pillars made of that same white marble. And there's like a set of stairs that go partway up before they reach where the tower has broken at the top.
Yeah.
There's a red herring sitting in the corner, actually.
Oh.
And it just says, hey guys, look at me. My name's MacGuffin.
Well, I'm gonna waddle over to the red herring and ask him, what do you know about this tower, MacGuffin?
I don't know nothing. But I have a very long and involved fetch quest if you'd like to carry boxes for me. Probably wouldn't take that long, like 12 years to carry all these boxes. I have a lot of boxes for you to carry. You just walk from here to the bottom of the tower and put the box down and then climb back up and get another box. And you get the picture. At the end of it, there's a quest reward.
What would this quest reward be?
You'll have to do it first. But then you mouse over the quest and it says that it'll give you 12 gold.
I think we'll be good.
You sure?
MacGuffin.
It's really fun doing fetch quests. It's the best part.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, well, I'll be here, man. If you change your mind.
Can I cast a spell on Monomanui before I get into the cage?
Are you gonna cast Burning Hands on him? Is that the plan?
Not exactly. I was going to cast Stabilize on him.
Yeah.
Alright.
But that doesn't help with. How does that help by casting that on Monomanui?
Positive energy shuts death's door. The target loses the dying condition, though it remains unconscious and at 0 hit points. So if I cast it on Monomanui, right?
Wait, which Monomanui? The bird?
The bird. Right? So Reginald is going to go back into his own body with his curse, which is going to cause the bird, Reginald, to die. Right? Because all that effective years will hit him.
Yeah, so instead of being, an elf who is, let's say, 300 years old, you will be a crow who is 300 years old. And much like a vampire who's, 1,000 years old and then gets staked, just, turns into dust immediately.
So that's why I was thinking about if I could cast Stabilize and see what happens.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, I'm gonna cast Stabilize on Monomanui.
Are you talking about the actual Monomanui in the bird's body? Or...
On the body of the bird.
I think I never mind.
You're muted again, by the way, Anna.
I said I'm just confused. Never mind.
So I was going to cast it on the body of the bird, right? So when the bird goes into that body, ideally he'll be in a stable condition and not disintegrate.
Yes, okay, sure. I am still confused, but I trust you.
Alright.
I cast that, then I'm gonna look around at all my compatriots and say, I always knew you, but living and being able to spend time with you all has been very enlightening, and I know now that Monomanui has very good and special friends. And as he says special, he kind of looks at Akalupu for a second.
Akalupu is special.
If this doesn't work, I want you all to know that it was a privilege being able to spend just a few days with you.
It's been real, man.
It's been real.
And I'm sorry that I tried to kill you all repeatedly.
He didn't try and kill Sammy, to be fair.
That's true. He did not try to kill Sammy.
Yeah, just Pipiopi and Akalupu.
And Chi-Chi.
And then, well, you know, can you really blame him for that last one? He's just trying, he's a faithful servant, on his task, you know, willing to commit to the end to save his master.
Yeah.
Well, friend. He's gonna get, and as he says that, he climbs into the cage and closes it, which I imagine you probably have to do.
Yeah. And then you cast the spell that you had prepared in the cottage. And yeah, you feel yourself slowly, the lights grow dim and you feel as though you're being drawn out, sucked through a straw almost. And now you, going back to Manawanui, you have a very small brain. Everything's very confusing. You're not sure what's going on. You've been stuck here for a while. It's real loud. You get banged around whenever this bell rings. It's not a lot of fun. You're not sure why you don't need to eat, but you haven't needed to eat, so that's good. Otherwise, you'd be dead. And you see a group of people enter, and finally, more than anything else, you feel a relief from the boredom. Though you do quickly recognize these people, and you excitedly begin pecking around at the edge of the cage, hopping back and forth and cawing happily. And you see a conversation going on back and forth between these people, though you don't 100% understand what they're saying, but you're able to pick up a little bit here and there. And then you see a very old man, very old elf, kind of looking up at you. He then turns around and says a very touching soliloquy to the group before eventually climbing into the cage next to you. And you again looking up and hopping excitedly at the prospect of finally having someone around, someone to make things a little bit more entertaining, to end the endless cycle of boredom and jostling. And then you also feel your vision starting to grow dim, and then a sensation as though you were being sucked through a straw. Everyone else in the group, you see Manawanui climb in and cast a spell. Lights begin to spread around the room, and then you see a bright light forming in across the two cages, and then you slowly see those two lights cross each other and pass to the opposite cages. And then as the lights finally dim and settle, you see a no longer old Manawanui. So let's get your original token back in here. Boop. You now see your old friend sitting in the cage, completely naked. And in the opposite cage is a very old gray crow who croaks gently and looks up with moist eyes before slowly dissolving into dust.
Aww.
Reginald! Can go over to the cage and kind of kneel next to it. Look at the remnants of my good friend.
All right. And it's a bit short. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, but I feel like this is as good a high point as we're going to get. Do we want to wrap up, or do we want to push a little further?
I'm good with wrapping up.
Alrighty. So then let's go ahead and wrap up as always, and let's start with Akalupu. What have you learned?
Akalupu learned that sometimes he's not strong enough and then shouldn't try so hard when he's going through doors because then it tries to kill him.
Yeah, and then he immediately forgot that, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. He remembered it, and then he died laughing because of stuff that Mano Inui was doing and completely forgot the lesson he learned.
Alrighty, and PPOP, what have you learned?
PPOP learned that birds are pretty damn good at imitating humans.
Yeah, after a lot of practice. To be fair, when he first turned into a human, he was not doing so hot.
Makes sense.
Okay, and then last but not least, what has Mono Inui learned?
Well, I think Mano Nui has only learned. Actually, he's learned two things. One, he's not a bird, and two, that he just let his bird die.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's a bummer.
Alright. How about Reginald? What did he learn before he faded away?
Reginald learned that he was Reginald, huh?
I said, yeah?
And he also learned that satisfaction of being a good and faithful companion servant to his master.
Alrighty.
The sweet embrace of death.
He's like, finally, it can end! Screw you, Mono Inui, you did this to me!
You did this to me. Oh, you're like as he like fades away.
Right. Alrighty, well thanks everyone for joining me. I hope you had a good time, and I will see you all next time. Bye!